All right, you there, sis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I think we're showing live now. I see it on my channel now. Do you see it?
Let me see. Yep, there we go.
Okay. All right. So
Ooh,
we'll wait for some people to come on in. Um, but yeah, I
no.
mean, I think we're on the track. We're talking about Andy Ruiz first, right?
Yep. Yes, indeed. I don't know why I can't rotate this chat.
Let me put episode 2. Yeah, I think it's
So,
just right to say that.
all right. Well, this is Beverly Rose, and he knows his sport. And it's the second episode of our boxing podcast, BevKnows Boxing. So today we're going to be talking about Andy Ruiz, a little bit about Anthony Joshua, and finally, what are we saying? Deontay Wilder, right?
Yep, Deontay Wilder.
Yep. Deontay Wilder and his upcoming fights and what they mean. So yeah, just wait for a few of y'all to get in here and we will start discussing. You
Mm-hmm.
can hear this, right?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear. You coming in good.
Oh, Coolio. God damn, it is hot as hell out here. Well, let me
Your
zhuzh
camera
my.
went out. Your
Huh?
camera went out. Your camera went out.
It did?
Yeah.
Am I here? Am I back?
You back on now. You good to go.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, now I'm gonna turn it off because I gotta. Oh, hell no.
What happened? Don't tell me a bee. Don't tell me a bee or a bug or something like that.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And what
Yo,
happened? You always dealing with some animal.
no, I'm telling you, every time we go live, these
uh-huh.
bees follow me.
Oh
It was
boy.
right in my face this time.
It's-
I just sprayed for bees.
Yeah.
Yo, I hear it. Oh my god, this is not fun.
You don't got no bee spray or anything like that.
I just sprayed it. I'm telling you, I just sprayed it. It's right there, and I don't know why it keeps. I don't know if it's my perfume or my
Yeah,
spray.
it
Don't laugh
could
at
be.
me.
It
Don't
could
laugh
be
at
that.
me.
It could be those pheromones from the perfume.
Dear Lord. Dear
Yeah.
Lord. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm about to have a heart attack.
Nah, don't do that. Anyone don't need those problems. Not on no
I
live.
know, right?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. That'll be the end of BevKnows.
I don't know why they keep coming over here every time I'm out here. And it's funny, when we were just talking, you didn't see no beats. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
I saw it when you got up. That's why I
Yeah.
knew something
So
was
I'm
up.
not
I was like,
tripping.
because you
I'm
do
not
that every
tripping
time, even when you're doing your own solo. I'm like, what's up with you and these bees?
because they fly like right here, literally right here. Oh my God. Y'all think I'm tripping. I'm not tripping out here. Now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. I think, oh damn. All right, we good.
Okay, good.
But I'm
We trying
telling
to
you,
wait for
if
some
it
people
gets
to
that
get
close again,
in.
I'm gonna stop what I'm saying and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
run away. All right. So just telling you in advance. I can't I can't deal with bugs, bees, none of that stuff. None
Yeah.
of that.
I'm
But,
right there with you. I'm right there with anytime me and mosquitoes, we are not best friends. I can tell you
right,
that.
right. See, I don't have any mosquitoes over here. I sprayed some mosquito spray. No, actually, I
Mm.
didn't even spray my mosquito spray yet. I sprayed for bees,
Oh boy.
and they're still over here.
So,
Whatever.
so we got seen and unseen. I believe we probably got another person in, but you want to get
Yeah,
into it
we
or
gotta get started.
okay?
It's Sunday, so people, they might be out, family outings and stuff. They can just catch this replay, and
Mm-hmm.
you know. All right, so where you want to start? I mean, I
I'm
guess
gonna
you
let
can moderate us.
I'm riding with you. You talking Andy Ruiz? So I'm gonna roll with you. What's your take on Andy Ruiz?
Um, I like him. Like I said before, I respect him as a champion. Not completely sold on him.
Mhm.
Again because it's just all talk. But his mentality now and the heart he showed in that fight, it's given me some confidence in him. And like I was saying in the video, I took a clip from my live stream and kind of put something together. I was basically saying that he's a bigger star than Anthony Joshua already. And that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Based on everyone out here is talking about him more than they've spoken about AJ in the last 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but how he fares against top level competition in the heavyweight division, I don't think he'll go that far. But I also don't think, as far as what I see so far, based on what he's been saying, and again, the heart that he showed in that fight against AJ, I think that he's not going to back down from a top level competition. If he does, I'll be very disappointed in that. But I don't think he's the type that'll, again, like I said, just back out and start doing that ducking and dodging that AJ does, or like Keith
Mm-hmm.
Thurman and some other PBC fighters and stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. Seen and Unseen Boxing said, "Do y'all think AJ should take the immediate rematch?" What do you think, sis?
Yeah, why shouldn't he? I don't see any reason why we should baby him and coddle him and say he's not ready. Like, if this was any other champion, we would be telling him to take the immediate rematch. I've never really heard of someone saying, "Yo, you're not ready for the rematch, dude. You're not ready
Mm-hmm.
for the rematch." Like Wilder, like we were just talking about, if Wilder was to lose to Tyson Fury, are we going to tell him that he's not ready for the rematch? No, let
Exactly.
the guy run it back in Madison Square Garden if he wants
Mm-hmm.
it there, like he's been saying. But I don't understand some people when they say that he's not ready for a rematch. How are you were supposed to be ready the first time you fought him? You had a
Exactly.
bad night. Now you should be ready to run it back.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I think that, and Sugar Ray Leonard touched on that point. I thought he touched on it eloquently. He said, when you have a fight of that magnitude, you want to have it exactly back at the location
Right.
that it took place. And we both saw that yesterday because we were watching those the zone fights. And I agree with that vehemently because his disaster night happened at Madison Square Garden. And
Hmm.
if he's having a coming to America moment, then he needs to basically have what I call like a resurgence, or he needs to have a rejuvenation of his career, because we were talking about that a little bit before we jumped on the live stream. I think Anthony Joshua has fought so much back to back. And then on top of that, the last 3 years, his performances have been lackluster. They haven't been the
Right.
best.
Exactly.
And I think he's been riding off of just, okay, my namesake is Anthony Joshua, and I've beaten, Joseph Parker, or I've beaten Alexander Povetkin. Okay, those are just names, but the way that you performed in those victories, they were showing some glaring deficiencies with your boxing skills. Because the
Hmm.
thing with Anthony Joshua is he's tall, right? He's 6'5", 6'6". But one of his biggest issues is he fights a lot smaller than his height. He doesn't use his jab. So I feel
Right.
like Andy
And on top
Ruiz
of
was
that, he's
able
not even
to
that good
expose
on the inside for the style that he uses.
him. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what were you saying? Sorry.
No, that's good. I mean, if you chiming in, you chiming in. I was actually giving you the floor, but Andy Ruiz, I had to respect his speed. You know what I'm saying? Like, because Anthony Joshua, every 2 to 3 punches he threw is like Andy Ruiz threw about 7 to 9 of them. Man, it was ridiculous how fast he was, and I think that disrupt Anthony Joshua. But again, this is not me giving an excuse to Anthony Joshua, but I feel like he prepared for. This is the nickname I give him. You're gonna laugh, but I think he prepared for Big Titty Miller. That's who he prepared for. You know what I'm saying? I think the game plan was he was gonna fight Jarrell Miller, and he needed to have as much weight on him as possible to fight that guy. And I don't think they did scouting report on Andy Ruiz enough to know the fighter that was going to be faced in front of him. They were
Right.
like, they probably just looked at him and they're like, oh, he looked like a cheeseburger, so we're just gonna run through him. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was the mentality. And you could see that at the end of the fight, because you had all of these guys, Bello, Froch. They were all clowning Andy Ruiz, like, man, he lost to a guy that looked like that. So if you could imagine those guys thinking that way, how much more was AJ thinking with that mindset? So he really did not respect Andy Ruiz. And because he had lackluster performances prior to that, and if it is true what they were saying about him being concussed or something like that, which Anthony Joshua himself didn't make any excuse. So I have to give hats off to him for that, because at the end of the fight, he was, for him to be an AJ Devo, he was class act. He hats off to Andy Ruiz. He said the better man won. He beat me up, you know what I'm saying? And he won fair and square. But if he had all of those other issues going on, why put him in that position? I think what they should have done is they should have just canceled that fight. That's my estimation on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I said the same exact thing. And at the end of the day, you know, AJ could have chose to cancel it himself. I just don't see, I don't really see anything or know anything in boxing that's going to force someone to put their life on the line in the ring unless they agree to it. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, I think he didn't take it seriously at all. And that's the same thing Yaki Lopez said when I interviewed him too. You know?
Yeah, and I like that interview because I already knew Yaki Lopez was legit, but he made me have even more respect for him, and based on how he looked at that fight with Anthony Joshua, because he kept it real. You know, there's a lot of these fake fans and fake love going around, and I pointed it out in some of my videos with Canelo Alvarez and Oscar De La Hoya. These guys weren't checking for Andy Ruiz Jr. Let's keep it a buck here. The reason why we call it the biggest upset in boxing is because of the fact that it was an upset. Nobody was expecting Andy Ruiz Jr. to win. So when you see these guys come out in defense of Andy Ruiz, the president of Mexico, these people were not checking for him. They're checking for him now because he won.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's clout chasing, basically.
Exactly. And I feel like Andy Ruiz is in a dangerous spot. And let me tell you what the dangerous spot is, sis. He is in that roller coaster because now he's getting what? Snickers endorsements. He's on Jimmy Kimmel Live. I just feel this is a train wreck happening. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in this rematch, you're going to have the opposite. Andy Ruiz is going to be feeling himself. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be like in his Andy Ruiz Devo mode. And then it's going to go from that to AJ, who's going to turn around and be in this AJ Humble, formerly known as AJ Devo mode. He's going to be like, I'm focused, I'm hungry, I'm rededicated, and I'm here to get that knockout. And let's keep it a buck here. AJ had a nasty knockdown before he started getting sloppy in that fight. So it's not like he can't knock down Andy Ruiz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true too. Now, what would you rather see though? Ruiz keep the belt or AJ get the belt back?
I want to see a redemption story for AJ. And the reason why I want to see that is because a lot of people are sitting here saying that AJ's trash. You don't become trash winning a gold medal. You know what I'm saying? And you don't become trash defending those belts as many years as you have. So I'm not with that narrative of just calling him trash. I'm not with that narrative of just, kind of spitting on him, so to speak. I get it. You know what I'm saying? We know that he wasn't on Bomb Squad or Bronze Bombers level. You knew it. I knew it. And a lot of people knew it. We knew that. But at the same time, we're not going to discredit Anthony Joshua to a point where he's not a legitimate champion. I believe he's legitimate. You know what I'm saying? And it's just he went through that mode where if you're walking around in tailor-made suits, you go on the New York Stock Exchange and Dow Jones and all that, that means you're not serious about your craft. And Teddy Atlas, he hit it on the thumb. He was like, he used that Marvin Hagler term. You know, if you see a fighter is not waking up at 5 a.m. to train because, they're too busy sleeping in silk sheet beds and stuff like that, then that's the mindset that Anthony Joshua was in. Like he was just in that mindset where he was feeling himself too much and he needed to be knocked down. And that's what I think it is. And then on top of that, when you look at his style is, and shout outs to Damon Bussey for saying that, his style is robotic. And, Black Wall Street said it too. He has stamina issues. I think he needs to get with one of these savvy American trainers I think Floyd Mayweather was trying to get him with him. Remember when they were together and he went to the Floyd Mayweather Money
Yeah, I
Mayweather
remember
thing?
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Mayweather was telling him, "Hey, why don't you have my dad train you?" I really think he needs to change it up, and he needs to look at a completely different trainer, somebody that's going to push him to work on his stamina, because stamina is something you could work on in boxing.
Right. Now, would he have to drop some muscle mass though for that to happen?
Yes, I believe he needs to be leaner, because I've been saying this, like, a good Anthony Joshua looked the way he did in the Olympic time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
he was a lot leaner at that point, and he was able to move better. I think what happened is he made himself become too much of a bodybuilder type. And in boxing, you got to have those longer, rangier, more stamina filled type muscles that's going to make you last, not that
Right. Right.
bulky
Exactly.
bodybuilding type of muscle.
Right. Yep. And I don't know, maybe this can make him rearrange his thought process. Maybe he'll look at the Hearns and see that, they don't really want what's best for him.
Hmm.
But I don't think so. I don't think so. He's still got the same camp, you know, he's still, defending Eddie Hearn. Not defending him, but he's still, I feel like he's taking all the blame for everything. And
Hmm.
I think he's not really acknowledging the fact that he's got people in his ear who probably told him to, develop his physique the way he did, just so he can look good for the cameras, just so he can get like those brand endorsements and stuff.
Exactly.
I don't think he really, like you said, he doesn't take his craft seriously.
Hmm.
And that's a problem with a lot of boxers today. They want to be a superstar. They want to be more of a superstar than they are a boxer, unfortunately.
Exactly. Well, I could tell you this much, sis. You know what I'm saying? I look at Anthony Joshua's situation, and I have sympathy for him. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say on him, because I know we ain't gonna stick on him too much longer. Because I feel like he
Right.
kind of deserves what he's going through. So I agree with you in that video when you said that it was self-inflicted, and you don't feel sorry for him. I mean, to a lot of people, that might make they booty tickle, right? Now, is that your
Right,
term?
right.
But at
Don't
the
get
same
booty
time,
tickle.
it,
Yeah.
how do you say it? I want you to say it.
Don't get booty tickled. That's how
There
you
you
say
go.
it. Don't
So
get butt hurt. Get your
there you
feelings
go.
hurt.
There you go. So if you know, I feel like at the end of the day, like, he deserves what he's going through, and it should make him better. And I really think he needs to utilize that mentorship that Lennox Lewis has been putting his hand out for a long time, and has been trying to
Right.
mentor this guy. I don't know why he doesn't just listen to him.
Because he has the Hearns. He cares about their opinion more than he cares about anybody else's.
Hmm.
Like I think he looks at them as like mentors almost. He
Yep.
sees himself probably being in the boxing business after he's retired, and they're probably gassing him up behind the scenes, telling him that he can do something like that. But in reality, they're building their wealth for
Mm.
their family.
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's just me.
That's true. That's true. So I know we done hit enough points on AJ. I mean, he
Yeah.
just needs to deal with those lump of coals that he's dealing with. So, how you feeling about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in that trilogy?
Um, it's confusing, mainly because I don't know too much about what goes on behind the scenes in boxing.
Hmm.
Um, I think I kind of agree with Luis Ortiz when he's saying that he feels a bit disrespected by Wilder. The fact that he's overlooking him so much so that he basically agreed to a rematch clause. That's basically what it is. It's like it's a definitive rematch clause. I don't know the official terms for this stuff, but to me,
Hmm.
that's what it looks like. As a fan, it looks like you're planning on beating Luis Ortiz, keeping your belt, and fighting Tyson Fury twice, whether you lose or not. So what happens? To me, this is my thought process. I'm like, what happens if Luis Ortiz knocks Wilder out
Hmm.
and he has the belts? And then so that means Deontay Wilder's going to fight Tyson Fury twice, And it's just confusing to me because he was chasing undisputed this whole entire time, and now he's overlooking his opponents. You know, like undisputed is no longer a factor.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I agree with
well, I
that.
guess we'll see what happens after the first fight, or after the Ortiz fight, because we don't even know if he's gonna have the belts. You know, that's what my eyes are on. I do like
Mhm.
Wilder. I am a Wilder fan, but my eyes are on where's that belt going and who's all gonna have them at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I
That's what I
agree.
want to see. I want to see an undisputed heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is you got to look at it's bigger than all of these guys. It's really who's going to be the man at the heavyweight division. Tyson
Right.
Fury shows that, he's legitimate because Tyson Fury, he went, it's kind of like when you look at that first fight, you could say basically it's a stalemate between the both of them. Yeah, Wilder
Mhm.
had the two knockdowns, but if you take away the two knockdowns, you can't take away everything Tyson Fury did in that fight. So I feel like that was his biggest and most arduous fight. And when those two guys went at it, it was fun the first time around. But the question is it going to be fun the second time around? Did Deontay Wilder figure him out in terms of his timing? Will he get a quicker knockout, or will Tyson Fury come stronger? That's the thing there that is like, I don't know. It just keeps going back and forth in my mind. But a trilogy, I gotta agree with you on that. I don't know if they needed a trilogy. I think they just needed a rematch. That was it.
Right. Exactly. And I think it's just a money grab. You know, they're going to play on Tyson Fury's character in the UK and Deontay Wilder's stardom out here in the US.
Hmm.
And, you know, they're going to stretch it out for two more fights, and which is fine. Well, it's not fine to me in the sport, but it's understandable. Like, I understand that they're trying to, like I said before, gain wealth for their family. You know, they only have so long in the sport.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, don't come at me with that undisputed stuff if you're not chasing Andy Ruiz. If you're not calling out Andy Ruiz after Luis Ortiz or after your first fight with Tyson Fury, then, you know, I can't take it seriously anymore.
Hmm.
You know, undisputed was what he's been saying all these years when he was chasing AJ. Now, I mean, I get that, you know, he wants to right his wrongs and, you know, make everything definitive like you told me before.
Hmm.
But, you know, I just don't hear him talking about being undisputed anymore. I don't hear that talk anymore.
I
You know, and
agree.
if he's going to take the money route, then, you know, so be it. But it's disappointing nonetheless.
That's true. That's true. I agree with that. I just feel like, and it goes back to those interviews that you had with Yaki Lopez, and he was touching up on some good points. If you're a person that really aspires, saying to watch the sweet science and love the sweet science for what it is, I implore you guys to watch her interviews because those interviews were on point, man. I learned a lot in those interviews, and I thought she did great in her interview skills. And I just felt like Yaki touched on some good points about old school boxing versus today's boxers. The today boxer, they just so focused on getting theirs, and it's not more focused too much on the legacy aspect and really just fighting the best, So I feel like that is something that blame can be put on all fronts. You can't just say, oh, it's just this side because you represent this side. You could look at blame on every front and see that, it's just a product of what the product is today. There's too many champions, there's too many weight classes, you know what I'm saying? There's too many, not weight classes, but there's too many title belts. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's
Organization.
crazy. Exactly. Yaki touched on that. Like, how do you have a super champion, a regular champion? I mean, that just makes no sense. When you have too much of that going on, it just opens the door for folks to do this stuff that they're doing, financial ducking, open ducking, all this other rhetoric. I just
Right.
feel like they need to close ranks on that. And I agree with him when he said going to the 15 rounds, because I feel like, hey, if they add a few more rounds, man, it's going to separate, the strong from the weak.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think we see when he was talking about the reason why they don't want 15 rounds is because more deaths will happen. But the past
Mhm.
2 days, we've seen two fighters being, well, Zav Judah wasn't necessarily in critical condition from what we're hearing
Mhm.
now, but there was
Mhm.
another boxer who was in critical condition. He needed CPR.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that fight didn't go, 12 rounds because he got knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Zab Judah went 12 rounds, I believe. What round did he get stopped? Was it the 12th round? Or was it
I
the
don't know. I don't know because I didn't catch the fight, but I just know based on what I heard that
Mhm.
he's they said initially that his coma was bad, but then they're now saying that it's not as bad. So I haven't
Right,
really like read up on it, so I couldn't really tell you all of the details.
right. All I know is the fight didn't go 15 rounds, and he still ended up in the state that he's in. And the other
Mhm.
boxer didn't go 15 rounds. So Mr. Lopez was right when he said it could happen in any round. So what's the point in, keeping these controversial decisions going with 12 rounds? You can have 15, you'll have a definitive winner every time.
Exactly. And then on top of that, let's look at the a fight that was dangerous. It was with oh, his name is slipping my Adonis Stevenson. Adonis
Right. Yeah,
Stevenson
he was
was in
in
a coma
coma.
for a while,
Yep, he
for
was too.
weeks, for weeks.
So for sure. So I mean, what's the point? Yaki was right. If it happens in the 10th round, 11th round, 12th round, it could happen in the 4th round. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. But these guys know what they're getting themselves into.
Exactly.
He also stated that they'll be encouraged to get in shape more. We'll see more elite athletes. We'll see athletes work harder. We'll see athletes that were cut up and had great stamina like they were back in the days.
Hmm.
But now they can just, they eat however they want to eat. They work whenever they want to work because they know
Hmm.
all you got to do is win a few rounds. They know they got to win, what, 7-4, and
Yep.
then they'll be good.
Yep. Yep.
But
And
yeah, 15, they got to work extra hard.
hmm no, I agree. I mean, I feel like the 15 rounds would be able to separate who's really doing what they're supposed to and who's not, because you
Right.
got 3 more rounds there. That means you got to be that much more well conditioned and in better shape to go. And in those extra 3 rounds, you'll actually see, you know, and I could see why he's saying a definitive winner, because that's 3 more rounds to really hurt somebody, or it's 3 more rounds to really, what I'm saying, take the toe and separate yourself in the fight. If you're
Right.
up on points, and let's say we don't know if it's definitive and it's a 6-6 or something like that, and 3 more rounds, that's 3 more rounds of guys having to fight for another 3 more minutes. That means they're more tired,
Exactly.
and they're more prone to making mistakes. So somebody can get somebody.
Right. It's going to bring the champion out of you because you got to push for those 3 extra rounds. That's when we'll see who really has what it takes, you
Exactly.
know. But that's probably never going to happen though.
No, it's not.
Probably
Not with
never again.
politics today, not with as many belts as we have.
Yep.
It's not just with, and not with all of this, back and forth on I should be getting this fight and this is how much money it should be. I think it just takes away from what you love and what I love about the sport, the best fighting the best, because guys are so wrapped up in money that they just don't want to step into the ring. And if they do step into the ring, they feel that they're supposed to be compensated, when this is my take on it, man. And I've said this before. Like, I feel like folks need to look at the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is, a fighter has to work their way up from the ground going up. They got to crawl before they walk. A lot of these fighters, they just want to walk after they had one good fight, and then they think they have arrived. And it's like, no, there's a catalog here. There has to be a body of work. You have to show from fight after fight after fight after fight that you're going to show that you're legit. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you ask that question about, what defines a true champion, to me, is somebody that has won in so many forms, so many variations, so many facets, but they've beaten good competition after good competition after good
Right.
competition. Not just, okay, you fought one good fight and then now we're going to crowd around you. No, it doesn't work like that.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's actually kind of what's going on with Andy Ruiz in a way, you know. But I mean,
Yeah.
he also made history by being the first Mexican heavyweight
Mhm.
champion. But at the same time, I think we should still see a little more from him, though. I definitely respect his come up, though. You
I
know.
do too. I do too. I feel like he's at a crossroads right now. He's a humble guy, you know what I'm saying? And he's the first Mexican heavyweight. We understand that. He's set history. But I feel he's at a crossroads that if he doesn't have the right team around him, this can become a train wreck. This is
Yeah.
what I'm very fearful of. Because right now, his life has turned around in like boom, overnight, literally overnight. When we say somebody's life turned around overnight, his has happened. And the question is, this is going to show me what is inside of him, what they call that internal fortitude. We're going to know what he's made of inside, because is he going to succumb to this big time pressure of him getting all of this, popularity that he didn't get before? And then we're going to see him become what we call one hit wonder. Like he goes into the rematch and then he gets knocked out, because that's what he's in a crossroads right now. He could become that one hit wonder if Anthony Joshua were to knock him out in a rematch, or he could become legitimate and say, okay, no, this was not a fluke, and I'm going to show you guys that I'm legit. And when I go into this rematch, I'm going to dominate Anthony Joshua. If he can do that, man, I'm going to put complete respect on his name, because now I know Andy Ruiz is really what they say that he is. But if he gets knocked out in the second fight against Anthony Joshua, I'm sorry. This is going to have to look like a Rahman to me.
Right.
Part two.
And then I feel like we're going to be in this whole little rat chase again with AJ if he gets the belt back, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And that could be a reason why Deontay Wilder's probably planning these fights ahead. Just making chess moves, but at the same time, I'm still, speaking from a fan perspective, it's just not something that I want to see. I don't want to see them fight 3 times. I agree with you. I think a rematch is definitely all we need to get a definitive winner, because that fight, it was neck and neck. But now that they have time to watch the film, figure each other out, make adjustments, I don't think we need 3 fights for that. We don't need an extra 2 fights to see who will win. But, they feel that's what's best, then that's up to them.
Yeah, and I want to see guys, at that heavyweight division just fight other fighters too. Dillian White has been calling some people out for a while, and Dillian White has, a champion, even though he's a regular champion. I think they need to go ahead and fight him, man. Somebody needs to fight him, because he's a credible opponent, and I think that he would be a hard outing for any one of those guys. So they just need to go ahead and figure out something to where it's not them fighting the same people over and over again, because then we fall into this dullness of, okay, we're getting the same fights, because we know he's rematching Luis Ortiz, like you said, and then after that, a trilogy with Fury. Okay, so then after that, what's next? See, then now it goes into a place of, are we going to be bored, with Wilder? I mean, boredom and Wilder, that doesn't go together. But if he's fighting the same people over and over again, then yes, that could be a potential.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope that isn't the case, but we'll see how this first fight goes with Tyson Fury. But what's going to happen if he loses to Luis Ortiz, though?
That would shake up the heavyweight division. Now you're talking about a Mexican and a Cuban that are champions.
Oh, hell no. See, that B is back. I'm telling you,
the B came back.
I hear it. Sorry. Right. Mexican and Cuban. Mexican and Cuban. It's going to shake up the division. And
well,
I think that'll be a pretty good fight, though.
Yeah, it'd be big money. I would
be more focused on that, if anything, because then we'll have a unified champion. That's my main goal. I just want to see. I want to see someone hold all those belts, and then what's going to happen after? Is everyone going to be ducking the man of the division, or are they going to be willing to put it on the line just to get all the belts? I want to see it in my era. Like I haven't been around. I don't believe to see a undisputed heavyweight champion, and I would like to see it be Deontay Wilder, obviously because he's American. But that's politics for you. Didn't think Wilder would fall into those politics, but money talks. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of figured all of those guys at some point will fall into politics. I mean, everyone knows besides Deontay Wilder, Errol Spence is my other favorite fighter. I'm not shy about that, but even
Right.
he's kind of falling into those politics too right now. So,
Yeah, true.
all of these fighters, they tend to fall into that stuff after a while. And then it's like, man, okay, you're not doing the man down strap season like I wanted you to keep doing. Now it's more like, money season, and it's like, okay, now you're making people think that you are supposedly a ducker when I know that you're not, but you're giving people that impression because
Yeah.
you're stalling fights, and all because you want to make as much as possible. And I get that, but at the same time, you're gonna make as much as you want anyways down the road if you make those fights.
Right. Exactly. I just think I think my main point is legacy is not the key factor for most boxers these days.
Yep.
And I think Mr. Lopez hits on that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely going to try and get some more answers out of him in regards to that because he does have the experience. None of these fighters have went 15 rounds, so they can't tell him that he's wrong. You know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
he's had some controversial fights as well. Some fights
Mm-hmm.
where people say he should have won the belt. So, I'm very grateful to have a source like him so close out here in Stockton.
Yeah, and you got to take advantage of that. And speaking on that interview itself, like how was it the atmosphere being in that gym? Like just talking to the fighters, because I saw when you were talking to the other trainers and the fighters, like what was that whole mindset? Like how did you feel when you were in there?
Um, well, I was a little nervous at
Mm-hmm.
first. You get a lot of eyes on you when you're not dressed up in gym gear.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say overall, the vibe, everyone is extremely humble in that gym. They don't, you walk into a lot of new gyms, they see a new face, they kind of mean mug you,
Mm-hmm.
they get kind of territorial. With
Yep.
them, they all look curious. All the kids in there, all the young guys in there, they look very curious and they just go about their business. They'll come up to you, give you high five, give you dap, without even saying hi, but they're respectful. Like, and you can definitely tell Yaki influences that whole gym. They all have that same kind of humble championship work, work, work mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to talking to a few more of his fighters too, because like I said, he resonates throughout that whole entire building, and he's helping these kids off the streets. He's helping them stay off the streets and stuff, and I can respect that. And that's why I feel like it's part of my job not to just get content from him, but to help promote his gym and his message, and his legacy. That's what he says all the time. He doesn't want to die leaving what he knows behind, and that gym is definitely gonna continue when he's gone.
Yeah.
And being a part of it, even though we're just starting out, it's very humbling, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like being a pugilist fan and speaking to someone who's got such a championship mentality like Yaki. It's like I still can't believe it sometimes, like it's crazy. It's crazy. But the atmosphere, it's very old school, very laid back, not too laid back, but it's just got an old school kind of boxing vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a gym. Well, that's what he told us. He told us that the way he made his gym, the I would say the interior design of it, I guess, he made it look like how it was when he was training. So
Mm-hmm.
he's keeping everything grassroots. He's bringing everything that he knows, literally from the smallest detail, all the way down to the interior design of the building. He wants to leave it exactly how it was when he was around. He's
What you
still
saying?
he's stuck in his era. He's not trying to, play into the media and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. He's not trying to like adapt like Mike Tyson,
Mm-hmm.
legends like that. He's himself, and he's very humble, and it resonates throughout the gym.
Well, that's pretty cool because I think you got to keep some degree of standards when it comes to boxing, and just the way that he explained the true champion. I mean, he made it very clear. Like as a fighter, even if you're hurt, in sparring or you're hurt, in between fights, you can't give that mindset that you are hurt. You just got to keep going, and that's what it's about. So nowadays, guys they blow up, in between fights. I think when you whenever you have your next interview, I want to see what his take is on that. If you ever ask him that question about how do you feel about fighters blowing up in so much weight, in between
Mhm.
fights? Because I'm pretty sure when he was fighting at that time, he had no choice but to be extra disciplined, especially going
Right.
15 rounds. So
That's a good question. I'll definitely keep that in mind too. Anything else you want me to ask him?
yeah, and if you could ask him as well, like just what's his landscape, like who does he see as the current guy out there that, obviously he has an old school mindset, but who he sees as the current guy that he really respects, in terms
Right.
of the fighter, and who has that makeup. It'd be interesting just to hear what his response is.
Okay. Keep that in mind for sure. For sure. Maybe I can get an interview with him tomorrow, but yeah, like I said, we're gonna be at breakfast with him and his wife, so try and get to
Sweet.
know him a little more, pick his brain a little, just get that. I just want to get that old school pugilism back. I want to make
Hmm.
it. I want to make it popular again.
Hmm.
If I can get a few people on board, then that's fine. If I can get hundreds of people on board, that's even better.
Yeah.
But this is. I think I like this platform that I have for
Hmm.
my channel, and I love our show because we can just talk about pugilism.
Yep.
We don't have to
Yep.
talk about the drama behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Is AJ gonna put this person in his camp? Is this person going to have this person in his camp?
Yep.
Like, I don't really care about that. All that's up to the fighter.
Exactly.
Yaki says the fighter is supposed to focus on his job.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think we got a good thing going here. We
Yeah.
definitely got a good thing going here.
Oh yeah, we got to keep it going because I have a lot of guys that support me, and you have a lot of folks that support you, and they're diehards. Like Bar Creator fans perspective. These people are diehards. They just want to see the best fight the best, and I
Right.
always understand where they're coming from their perspective, and that's what me and you want to see. Just folks getting in there and giving the fans what the fans want. Because for a long time, and again, I'm not making this about money or anything like that, but for a long time, fans have invested a lot, man, in these pay-per-view fights, and they've put a lot of their time into it. So these fighters need to give back, and they just need to come together and make these big fights happen so that people could
Right.
sit there and say, okay, you are definitively the best person. This is why people miss that whole Sugar Ray, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran era, because those guys, man, they was just like legacy, legacy, legacy. That's all they cared about. And then everything else that came after that. They got the money that came after that. They got the fame that came after that. But they focused on legacy, and they focused on rematching each other if those fights weren't definitive. And that's what we need to get back to. Fighters just fighting each other and not
Right.
just getting caught up in this namesake.
Yeah. A side, B side. Used to be about who's the best guy. Now it's A side, B side.
Hmm.
It's just annoying. It's annoying.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I think the best we can do is just push our message out there and get people
Yep.
on board with it. It starts with the fans, first and foremost. It all starts with the fan base,
Yep.
you know, because
Yep.
we pay these fighters. We're paying them to entertain us at the end of the day. That's what it is. Not
Exactly.
paying them to manipulate us and politic behind the scenes. Um, you know, I like to, if I put money into something, then I want a quality product from it. I don't want
Exactly.
some half ass stuff from it.
I agree. I agree with that. So I wanted to ask you, like, what's your take on the WBSS tournament that's going on right now? Because you saw on the Zone fight card yesterday, I like the way Ramirez and Maurice Hooker show respect for one another. I think that's going to be a big fight coming up. Like, how do you feel about 140 with Ramirez versus Hooker, and with Taylor versus Prograis? Like, how do you feel that's going to shake up?
To be honest, I haven't really seen too much of a. You said Maurice and who?
Maurice Hooker and Jose Ramirez.
Jose Ramirez. I've only seen like a few of them, but the main
Mm,
fight I've been focusing on is Prograis versus Taylor.
mm,
I'm excited about that for
okay.
sure. I think I would say this fight's almost 50-50. Or I don't know, maybe 60-40 leaning towards Prograis. I think
Mm,
they both kind of start out pretty patient, and eventually they kind of find their rhythm. But
Mhm.
there's just some things that I see in it's Josh Taylor, right? I'm sorry.
Yep,
I'm
Josh
thinking of
Taylor.
Josh Kelly. But yeah,
Mhm.
there's some things I see in Josh Kelly, like some
Taylor.
openings that I think Prograde is going to take advantage of.
Mhm.
Did I say Kelly again? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you did. Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
talking about Taylor. There's some things I see in Josh Taylor that I mean, I
Mhm.
like his footwork. I like his movement. I like how he does that. Like I like how he uses his jab and stuff. But Prograde, he's naturally athletic, and
Mhm.
he's also very, very patient. He reads you from round one all the way to round four, and then he
Yes.
lets his shots go. He's also
Yep.
got power too.
Yep.
So that's why I'm kind of favoring Porter in this fight. I would say 60-40. But Josh Taylor, he has a chance of outpointing him, but he's definitely gotta try and avoid that power that Porter's got though. I'm excited for that.
Mhm.
And what's his face? Nonino Donaire
Mhm.
versus Naoya Inoue. I can
Yeah.
never say his name right.
Yeah, yeah,
But
you close enough.
yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. The
Mhm.
Japanese guy is always knocking everybody out. I'm
Mhm.
excited for that. I'm really excited. I think that's a good challenge for Ino,
Yeah.
or whatever his name is.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think that's it.
I definitely gotta look more into Maurice Hooker, and you said Jose Ramirez.
And Jose Ramirez.
Yeah,
Ramirez versus
before I
Hooker.
give like a definitive breakdown and prediction of it, just want to be more, more in detail about it.
Gotcha.
What do you think about
Gotcha.
that though?
Well, I can tell you this much. The body language between both fighters, and Barker said it is going to be a great fight. I believe it's going to be an exceptional fight. I actually think that fight is going to be more exciting than the Taylor and the Prograis fight.
Oh,
The
really?
Taylor, yes, the Taylor and the
Okay.
Prograis fight. I just feel that Prograis is a step above him, and I see why you picking Prograis to win because, like Prograis' strength and conditioning coach said, he's athletic, man, and Prograis, he, it's like when he smells blood, he's a shark. He knows when to go in for the kill, and I just feel that because of his athleticism and because of the work ethic he puts in the gym, he's gonna be too much for Taylor. I just see him stopping Taylor. So I would say you said 60-40. I would say 70-30 in my
Okay.
estimation for Regis Prograis because Regis Prograis is just too athletic and he's just too much and he's too powerful for Taylor. And I'm not
Right.
taking nothing away from Taylor, but I've been watching Prograis and I see he has this animal in him and it comes on like from the fourth round and up. And I don't know if Taylor's gonna be able to handle that. I
Right.
just feel like
Okay.
Prograis is gonna get him out of there. But in terms of Ramirez and Hooker, that's a more closer fight because Ramirez got some skills. Ramirez is lengthy, but Hooker, he can brawl, man. And Hooker, he likes to mix things up. Like that
Mhm.
fight right there, when you go back and go into your vault, you'll see what I'm talking about. You're gonna be like, man, that's gonna be the fight that everyone's gonna be paying attention to because they both are like humble fighters. You know what I'm saying? They both have this style where they can mix it up. They both can box, and it's just fireworks. And they both are pretty much relatively around the same height, so it's gonna be a dog fight between
All right.
those two.
All right. I'm looking forward to going into the vault. That's what you called it.
Yes, ma'am. Going into the vault.
Yeah.
However you want to say it, film study, tell it the tape.
Tell the tape. Dig in the
Yes.
vault. All
Yep.
right. All right. I'll do some of that probably tonight. Actually, we can print out their stats and
Oh yeah.
oh, when is that supposed to be? Is that next
That
week?
one is that one's supposed to be, I believe, July 27th, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
okay. It's in July. All right. All right.
Yeah, so we got some time. We got some time for that fight. But that fight right there is the one for everybody to look out for on their radar because it's going to be action packed. It's going to be some fireworks for that fight right there.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm looking forward to it. But yeah. So how do you feel about Triple G possibly fighting Canelo? I mean, he had his performance against Rose. We kind of knew what was going to be the outcome of that. Do you think it was impressive enough for him to be able to fight Canelo,
No.
or you think Canelo's going to fight Caleb Smith or somebody like that?
Um. Well, one, I don't want to see them fight a third time
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I already know what's going to happen. Triple G had the same style that he's always had, despite changing trainers and stuff. He's just not impressive to me. And his
Mm-hmm.
lack of defense is still there. I mean, he's going to get pieced up by Canelo even more, if anything.
Yep, I agree.
You're just giving Canelo more time to make adjustments to you. And, he already has you figured out. He knows what's going to beat you. Why would you that's why I can't really get behind Triple G, because as exciting as he is and can be,
Mm-hmm.
he's not trying to fight Jamal Charlo or anyone like that. He just wants the same money fight, the
Mm-hmm.
same money fight, and I just can't respect it. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
can't respect having these trilogies and people already know the outcome. If it'd be fun if you knock someone out the first fight, they knock you out the second fight. Let's see what happens in the third fight. That's what's going to be entertaining to me.
Exactly.
Not if you get outboxed. You damn near get outboxed the first fight. You get completely outclassed the second fight. What's going to happen this fight? Let's see if he lands that right shot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the perfect shot. Let's see if he can land it. I'm not going to spend money on that. Like, no, no. Next.
I feel you on that. You know, a lot of people
Yeah,
are like that Canelo Triple G3 is just, it's probably gonna be a snooze fest, because we think not think, we know now that Canelo's got him figured out. Because I saw that in that second
yeah,
round against Steve Rose, I was like, oh, if that was Canelo, I ain't even gonna front. Canelo would have picked him apart on that one. And Rose was landing some good shots on him. But here's the thing with Triple G. Triple G, he got a new trainer. So I always feel like it's a very dangerous fighter for opponent when they have a new trainer and they fight an opponent that actually got some hands. I think if you got a new trainer and you're trying to implement some new habits, you need to find the most bottom of the barrel fighter to work those new training habits on. That's just my take on it. Like, if you're gonna tune up, you need to really tune it up. Like, just really do an overhaul. And then as you start getting comfortable in that new style that that new trainer is teaching you, then you ramp up the competition. That's what he should have done, because he wouldn't have gotten exposed the way he did in that fight. Because Rose, yeah, he got flatlined in round 4, but Rose got some skills in terms of his hands, and Rose likes to mix it up, you know. So I knew he was going to be able to land some things, and then Triple G doesn't have the best, you know, head movement, so you
right.
can land some shots on him. So I just feel like, you know, that fight against Canelo, man, Canelo's gonna pick him apart. I just don't want him fighting Canelo. I prefer Canelo to fight somebody like Caleb Smith, because I became a believer of Caleb Smith after that last fight card, and that one was even way better because there was just a lot of controversial fights. Katie Taylor and Pursoon, you know, that fight between Josh Kelly and Ray Robinson. I mean,
Yeah,
there was some fights there, but that one right there with Caleb Smith, he showed me that he can keep you at the end of his jab. He's
yeah,
long, he's rangy, he got skills. I prefer to see a fight like that than a Triple G3.
yeah. Someone like Smith would pick him apart. You
Mm-hmm.
know, especially with that reach advantage. I mean,
Yep.
and we already know Triple G's not going to go for someone like that because he's just going for the money, like a lot of these other
Exactly.
boxers out there. So yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed at all.
Exactly. And then he's 37, 38 years old. So he's kind of out the
Right.
door. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
he's out the door. He's old and he's looking old. So it is what it is. So, you know, like, what's your take on Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford? You know, because I really want to know your take, sis. I know a lot of people's take, but I want yours. Do you feel Earl Spence is ducking Terrence Bud Crawford?
No, no, and like I've said before, the one without the promoter normally doesn't do the ducking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Terrence Crawford can want this fight as much as he wants, but if his promoter says no, then he's not going to have it. I just don't see Earl Spence saying no to that fight.
Exactly.
Um, but now I've grown kind of bored of anticipating it. But
Mm-hmm.
from what I hear, Terrence Crawford's in Houston. You know, they've been
Mm-hmm.
kind of quiet. Normally, when fighters are quiet, they're negotiating something. Like we didn't hear much from
Mm-hmm.
Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder before they made that announcement.
Yep.
So, you know, who knows? Maybe they're working on it. If they are, I'm going to be excited because I want to see, belt unifications.
Yep.
I do have Spence winning in that fight, though.
And why? Why do you have him winning?
Well, I don't know. I think it's his body work. I think it's the fact that he's just efficient. He's efficient with the way he expends his energy, and he's smart with his punch selection.
Yep.
Crawford, on the other hand, I don't think he's really fought the best people aside from Amir Khan to warm up to the welterweight division.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's 50-50 though, in my
You think it's
opinion.
50-50 in that fight?
Yeah. I don't think sides are going to make a huge difference in this fight.
Okay.
Because
Well,
Crawford, from what I see, is strong in the clinch. You know, he can wrestle. So if he can get on the inside
mm-hmm.
and work Spence,
Mhm.
It'll probably be. I don't think he'll be able to knock him out though. I don't think so. I think Spence can
Yeah.
knock out Crawford though.
Okay. Okay. Well, you got a bunch of people here that are fans of Crawford. I know Barker Raiders probably jumping like, man, he knows his sport. You better be listening to your sis Bev because she breaking it down, man. A lot of people are just sitting there like they think the fight could go either way. I'm at one point in time, I had the fight as close as 51-49 in Spence's favor. But then I watched that Jose Benavidez fight, and then I watched the Amir Khan fight, and then I was sold at that point. I was like, you know what? It's more like 70-30 to Spence in my estimation. Now, I know Spence is one of my favorite fighters, and I know people get on me. That's like, man, you be fanning too much for Spence, but that's not the case. I'm just looking at it more so in terms of the size, the size part that you're saying that won't be a factor. I think it is going to be a factor. And
Right.
let me explain why. Because Bud, he's not fully assimilated just yet. He fought a few guys at 147. We know Bud is strong. I'm not taking nothing away from Bud. Bud is actually my second favorite fighter at the welterweight division. Bud has good acceleration on his punches. He knows how to, switch things up. We know that. And Bud can be very difficult in his switch dances. But here's the thing with switching. Usually when you switch your stance in the fight, usually switch to the weaker stance. A lot of people
Right.
think when you're switching, it's to offset the opponent. Yeah, it is. But when you switch, your primary stance is usually your stronger stance. The switch stance is normally the inferior stance.
Right.
When Bud does that in most fights, it works for him because he has superior skills, right? But if he tries that on Earl Spence and then he does the switch to what would be southpaw, he'd be at a disadvantage because Earl Spence is the natural southpaw. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he would be at a disadvantage if he were to switch. The best thing for him to do in that fight would just to be in the orthodox stance the whole time. Because if you switch to the stance that guy fights all the time at, then he's going to be superior at that stance than you. That really, that's not your primary stance. And then the second part of it is this. I looked at all of the attributes of both fighters. And then I came to a conclusion a long time ago. I said, okay, if you take away everything that these fighters bring to the table and you look at who can levy more punishment on who, the bottom line that came to me was Earl Spence can levy more punishment on Terrence Bud Crawford than Terrence Bud Crawford can on him. So when I came to that conclusion, I was just like, okay, it's a no-brainer. If the fight goes the distance, then we're looking at another Kell Brook situation where he's gonna be on bended knee because Spence is the type of fighter that he likes to place his punches in a way to where he kind of beats you into submission. That's the type of fighter he is.
Right. Right.
And he throws it in bunches in a way to where it's like each round your brain hasn't caught up to it, but your body's going to tell you what your brain hasn't told you yet, that I'm hurt. And he's an excellent body worker. And that's why I like when you did those interviews with Yaqui Lopez, because he talks about that. Body work is a lost art. Earl the True Spence is a body worker like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I call him Body Snatcher 2.0. That's why I
Right.
feel in that fight when he fights Bud, because Bud's body is not a body that's big enough to handle those punches from Spence. Because we hear Spence is sparring what, light heavies and heavyweights. I feel like Bud is gonna crumble at some point. Those body punches are gonna wear out. It's like Canelo. When Canelo throws enough body punches at you, Canelo wears you out. Well, it's the same thing with Spence. When he throws enough body punches at you, he wears you out. So that's how I look at that fight. It's not that Bud can't win, but if Bud is going to win, he's going to have to be on his bicycle all night. Like, he's going to have phenomenal legs. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. But hopefully we get this fight. I hope so because that'll make this boxing year a lot better.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
Oh,
I
my
agree with
phone is dying.
that. And your phone's about to die. So is there
Let me
anything else
see.
you want to talk about?
Shoot. I think we pretty much covered everything.
Okay.
And what was that? Less than an hour? Probably exactly an hour.
Yeah, just about. Just
Um,
about. So,
yeah.
just, sis, let them know where they can follow you at, you know what I'm saying? And tell them more about, those interviews you got coming up with Yaqui Lopez.
Oh, you can follow me here on YouTube at Beverly Rose Boxing. You can follow me on Instagram at Beverly Rose Boxing, and you can follow me on Twitter at Bev Rose Boxing. I'm going to be going to breakfast with Mr. Lopez and his wife tomorrow morning, so I don't really have any scheduled interviews yet, but I'll definitely try and get you some probably towards the end of this week. Well, obviously it's the weekend now, but the coming up week. But other than that, I'm trying to do some live streams, probably like twice a week. And yeah, just trying to grow my channel, still trying to structure it. But definitely look forward to this show that we have every Sunday. Had some
Yeah.
technical issues the past 2 weeks, but everything worked out smooth. I got my mic
Mhm.
working,
There
you
you go.
know. Um, so yeah, I think we're onto something with this show. Make sure y'all tune in every Sunday at 1:30 my time. That
Mm-hmm.
is wait 4:30.
12:39.
4:30? Yeah, 12:30.
12:30.
He's in Alaska. No one's in Alaska but you. So nobody's in Alaska but you.
Oh
But
boy, here
yeah,
you go.
that's 4:30 Eastern time, 1:30
Uh,
my time, and 12:30 his island time. He's on his own little island or whatever. But yeah, make
you
sure
gonna
y'all
have
tune in to that.
everybody talking these Alaska jokes. They give me these Alaska jokes all the time. So that was a
Hey,
good one
that
though.
was lighthearted. That was lighthearted. I'm telling the truth. I can't
Yeah,
even
that
see
was
you
a
right
good one.
now,
That
but
was a good
yeah,
one. It was a good one. It was a good one. I'll give you that. It was unique. I'll give you that. Yeah, so y'all can catch me at He Knows His Sport. Y'all know me, man. I'm bringing that heat and that fire. Y'all can catch me here, every Sunday. Bev Knows, Boxing Fans Podcast. I like this show because it's unique, because we
yeah,
just focus on the sweet science. And you guys know me, man. I just like to talk boxing, and I really like to keep out the politics and just focus on the best fighting the best. Sis is the same way, so we have the same mindset. And
right.
just check out our channels. We're trying to grow, and we're doing our thing. We just keeping it a buck here.
Yes, indeed.
So all right, man. Y'all have a great Sunday. Everyone chills out, and do your thing. If it's barbecuing or cookouts, you do your thing. And sis, just be careful with those bees.
I know, right? I'm about to go inside though. Shoot and play some Battlefield.
Oh, there you
Let
go,
my phone
gaming.
charge up. I'll hit you though behind the scenes for
All
sure.
right,
Got something to
all right,
ask
sis.
you.
All
But
right, definitely.
yeah, thank you everyone.
All right, be easy.